So my name is Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
I'm very excited that you're here. You've been a great inspiration to me in the last year. And I have one question. I sort of understand what you mean with effort, no effort, so that's not really part of my question, but I'm going to use the word effort here to, assuming that I understand how to meditate correctly and that I have found the right way to become clear, whatever that is, and that I don't struggle with what is, and I can become the situation. And that my desire for lucidity or enlightenment is deeper than freedom, pleasure, pain, all that. Assuming all that, that's one of the reasons I have to use the word effort, because those of us who are still walking through the day with ego, it takes effort to un-ego.
I understand.
With the language that we use.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Assuming all that, my question is, to reach enlightenment, is it about us acquiring a specific skill level in meditation, in our ability to be clear and not struggle and be here? Or, I mean, I'm assuming that's it. Could it be that anywhere along the way in that, quote, struggle or effort, that we are graced with enlightenment and those skills or whatever before getting there through our own effort, assuming we're using the right effort?
That's a hell of a question. Congratulations. It's really quite amazing. That is. Well, can I put the enlightenment part aside for a minute? I'll get back to it. Okay. And I want to put the enlightenment part aside. I'd rather just call it like spiritual clarity, awakening, being like I said before, being really lucid. Because enlightenment, I can touch upon that, but it's a very, very different thing than any of that.
It's the same path or effort, though, or whatever.
Well, the coming to moment of clarity, the awakening part, that's the strange thing about it. It doesn't necessarily come from even necessarily the right effort, doing it correctly, meditating the right way. Often it comes from a breaking down of doing things the right way. When doing things the right way or what you thought were the right way, that also didn't work.
Well, I'm assuming in that I'm able to face my shadows and break down, and that's part of the, quote, right effort.
Yeah. See, awakening it's a grace. So it doesn't lend itself to cause and effect, that this leads to that necessarily. It's not, that doesn't mean that that what you do or don't do has no effect. It just means there's no direct effect.
So you're saying that somebody who, quote, tries really hard or
does all the right stuff and has all the right intentions.
And somebody who sits in the closet and has no belief and even intentionally does harm could be struck by clarity.
I've had it happen. I've seen it. I've talked to people.
Because at times...
I've had them come in and talk to me. They don't even know what's going on. They don't even... One woman was a wonderful woman from Canada. She had it happen on a softball field and she didn't want it. Adya, I heard about you because you're the guy that talks about no self and I can't get mine back. I lost it on the softball field. And unlike most people who tell me they've lost their self, she actually had. And she said, I don't have a spiritual bone in my body. And I said, so anyway, that's the thing. There you can't draw these really causal. That's the whole thing of it. It's not about merit.
Well, it's so...
somebody that's not seeking it, it can happen. They fall off a bar stool and there it is.
What's needed then when we are faced with suffering and honestly face it and one after the other, and we try really hard. And we think, when am I going to get rewarded?
Yeah.
Here am I faced with another struggle, and I'm really good at doing this work.
I know.
Without ego. To what do we do to not lose hope, or to keep trying, or whatever word is correct for?
You fail.
Effort.
You fail.
Well, I do, and I don't mind.
If you'd failed once, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Okay.
Okay?
Fail in what?
Fail means that. I'm not getting anywhere with this guy. I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting what I want. I don't quite know what the hell he's talking about or where we're going with this thing. There's nothing useful, I'm being told. You know, there's something in us when we just kind of, failing is a way of saying stop. But everybody says just stop. But what does just stop mean? Just stop means fail. It hasn't worked out. The way you've gone about it hasn't done it. If it had, you see, then one would never talk about it. So there's a stopping. In that stopping, you don't know what to do anymore. You really don't know what to do anymore.
I sort of understand what you're saying there, but also in meditation you have talked about a right way and a wrong way to meditate.
I just said a useful or not useful way.
Okay.
So let me just...
Useful in failing better, or in letting
yes.
go, or yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if your meditation, let's say, you're meditating, the way I have people work with this is often the way our minds hear it is, okay, now I'm going to meditate, and Adya says something like, what I'm going to do now is let everything be. So now I'm trying to let everything be. And that becomes something that I'm striving for. I'm trying to allow this moment to be. That's a great way to screw it all up. A different way is you don't go about it as a goal. You go as it as a question. What's it like right now? What is it like when I allow this moment to be? What happens when I allow this moment to be? My mind's busy. Gee, what happens if I just allow my mind to be busy? What happens? See, then it's a question. It's like you're being led upon some, you're being led deeper into your experience through just questioning it, just like a curiosity. What happens when I do this? As soon as you turn the teaching into something you're trying to impose, here's what I'm supposed to do, you've lost that sort of curiosity. So it's just like in meditation, what is it like when I allow everything to be? It becomes a question that leads you into it. And at a certain point, of course, you let go of that too. All teachings, eventually you just let go of. You don't even, at a certain point, you don't need that.
And we face life the same way.
Sure.
Yeah.
What happens when I'm talking to somebody or whatever, and I maybe I disagree with them or something? What happens if I really allow them to disagree with me? It doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It just means, what if I let them have their experience? And how does it change the way I relate to someone when I allow them to have the experience they're having, when I'm not in there trying to make their experience like mine? So it's actually a very practical thing, you see, that can flow in any circumstance. It can be something that you're kind of working with, because you'll see then you have a much more creative response to life when you're not in opposition to life anymore. You know, it doesn't mean you just go, oh, everything is the way it is and I don't have any part to play. No. Everything is the way it is, including you. And there's a creative way for you to engage in life that's based not in conflict, but that's not based in conflict. That's an expression of no conflict. So, by the way, thank you for being. I can really sense your sincerity, and I get you're very diligent, and you know what you wrote down, and you're really listening. And I really do. I really appreciate it. And I can so much identify with that because, I mean, I used to comb through teachings and look for like the secret, just the right thing. And then I would see it or it would stand out and then I would try to really understand it and try to apply it in the right way. So I absolutely understand. I understand that. And I understand the sincerity that's behind what you're saying and what you're asking. And I know my answers may not seem to be really forthright. But what really the most important thing is your intention. That's really,
sure.
You can do everything wrong, but if your intention is really right on, that's gonna do it. And most importantly, the most important element is to remove the whole element of time. Just remove it out of your spiritual, let's say, practice. Remove time. By that I mean, remove tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Because then you're anchored in this instant, right? Then it's not so much, what do I do tomorrow or later, or it's like, what do I do now? This instant. Because time, if there's an enemy to awakening, it's time. It's preparing, it's getting there, it's progressing towards it. All of that's about time. Whereas the fertile ground for spiritual clarity is actually not in time, it's in right here. So it's not so much, let's say, time. A time-based way would say, okay, how do I go about this awakening? In the question is time. How do I go about it? That implies tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. An approach that's not based in time would be much more immediate. The question would be a different question. The question would be, well, what this is really about is discovering what I am. What am I now? Do you see what I mean? Now, this moment. What am I now in this moment? Can I look for myself? This moment. You see? Am I my story in my mind? I can't control that story, but is it who I am? You see what I mean? I want enlightenment. I want to get there. I want all that stuff. That's the seeking energy. I want to go there. Okay, I know where I want to get, but where I want to get doesn't tell me what I am, the me that's going to get there. So you see, this different approach is always anchoring you back in this very instant, in your own experience, right here, right now. That's the only part I want to add, is that interpret all these things that I'm saying so they really kind of nail your feet to right here and right now.
Effort in being here now.
Yeah, And as my teacher used to say, and took me years to figure out what this meant, she always used to say, look, it's a effortless effort. And I thought that was like a wacky, cool Zen thing, that I didn't understand. But it's actually, we're making effortless effort without even knowing it all the time. To walk up to the microphone, you were using effortless effort. For your body to move here, it took some effort for your body to move here, but you weren't under strain or struggle or striving. Your body moved itself here. Effortless effort. If we get stuck on effort, we're striving too much. If we get attached to no effort, we're going way too unconscious. But there's something right in the middle.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming up.